After a few weeks of back and forth between the ECOWAS leaders and military leaders in Niger, the ECOWAS leaders were saying that they are ready to go, that the standby force is waiting for the order to invade Niger. On the other hand, the military leaders in Niger were saying that they will not negotiate except sanctions are removed, and that they will try the former president Bàzøum for treason. The two sides have now ended up at the negotiating table. General Abdurrahman Chiani finally met the ECOWAS envoy led by Omar Toure, the president of ECOWAS Commission, and Nigeria's former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar, and the Sultan of Sokoto. They met the deposed president Mohamed Bàzøum, whom Abubakar said is in good health with his family. He didn't reveal anything about the meeting they had with Chiani when he was asked by pressmen outside the presidential palace. In the meeting Chiani had with the ECOWAS envoy, he outlined his plans, saying, "Our ambition is not to confiscate power." He said that the transition period will be up to 3 years. He called on political parties to submit their vision for the transition within 30 days. He also told the ECOWAS envoy that he will be available for any dialogue provided that it takes into account the aspirations and wishes of the people of Niger. General Chiani promised the ECOWAS envoy that he will release the deposed former president Mohamed Bàzøum if the ECOWAS sanctions are removed. It remains to see if the ECOWAS leaders will see this offer as a bargain. But why wouldn't they? They've been demanding the release of Bàzøum. Even France and the United States have demanded for his release. So since it's one of their main objectives, they should seize the opportunity and end the stalemate. They should stop the thinking that they have the upper hand in the negotiations, that the coupists must do as they demand. That's not how it works, except they are already determined to do it violently, which means all they've been doing all along is just buying time. The truth is, the main objective of the negotiations is to find a peaceful resolution. ECOWAS leaders first demanded the reinstatement of Bàzøum. They later shifted ground and asked for his release, which they've now offered to do. In return, they are asking ECOWAS to remove sanctions. It's also not clear if the release of Bàzøum will come with conditions like not allowing him to travel outside Niger and all that. No one knows whether they will confine him to a house arrest. This is because Bàzøum leaving the country might be a guarantee that Niger will be invaded. They will no longer care about Bàzøum and his family being casualties in case of a conflict. It might present the opportunity for them to say, yes, this is the time to invade, let's invade. If we are able to secure the presidential palace, we can bring Bàzøum back and reinstate him as president. The question is, will that be easy? How long will they continue to provide protection for him even if they are able to achieve it? It's better to take this offer and put pressure on Chiani to shorten the transition period to less than half of what he has proposed. That way, everybody can go back home and solve their internal problems. After the meeting, General Chiani addressed the country, and going by the way he sounded and tried to mobilize Nigerians to rise up against an impending invasion of their country, it shows that they are not backing down and they are prepared for any fallout. Why wouldn't they? It's only a tree that will not run after hearing they want to cut it down. They are seriously preparing for a showdown with any invading force. They are currently signing up thousands of Nigerians into what they call a civilian defense force. But we all know that these young people will be given a quick training so they can fight in case there's an invasion. Meanwhile, around the same time the meeting was holding in Niamey, Niger, a Russian cargo plane that departed Moscow with a stopover in Damascus, Syria, landed in Bamako. This cargo plane was used in transporting Wagner forces in the past, and with a stopover in Syria, it can only mean one thing. They came to resupply the Wagner forces in Mali at a critical point that an invasion of Niger is imminent. This is going to escalate very quickly. It also shows that the Russians are taking it very seriously. So much destruction is about to hit West Africa if this is not stopped quickly. The Wagner forces, if they get fully involved in Niger, the outcome can only be imagined, because these guys are known for using high-handed heavy force, which leaves a trail of massive destruction in places they operate in. Look at Central African Republic. Look at Ukraine. No reasonable person will want this kind of thing in West Africa. Foreign powers should not fight their proxy wars in West Africa. Also, a light attack and reconnaissance aircraft flew from Burkina Faso to Niamey early in the day. Remember that Burkina Faso and Mali pledged to support Niger by deploying troops on ground in case they are invaded. So they are already matching their words with actions. Now, let's hear some of the things the Niger strongman said. He said the sanctions are illegal and against the free movement of goods and services in ECOWAS region. He also called the sanctions inhuman, that it has caused products stuck at the borders to rotten and expire, most especially medicine that is vital to those in hospitals who need them. He also said they cannot understand why they cut their electricity, which has led to many casualties in hospitals. That the sanctions were not placed on Niger as part of a way to find solution to the problem, but to bring Nigerians to their knees and humiliate them. He said that they are trying to impose their will on the people of Niger, that they want them to accept something that is deeply unacceptable, things that are against their cardinal values. They want to isolate Nigerians at a time they need solidarity to fight against insurgency and insecurity. That it seems they didn't consider that the whole region will be affected in a wider conflict if they invade Niger. That it seems they ignored the fact that Niger acts as an impediment that prevents insurgents from overrunning the entire region. That in many neighboring and far countries, including ECOWAS and non-ECOWAS members, visionary leaders and many people have expressed their opposition to any intervention that will open the Pandora box. That the actions of some external forces that tries to make caricature of the leadership in Niger is not the reality on ground. In concluding his address, he said, "My dear compatriots, as soldiers, we know how bad war can be. As Nigerians and as West Africans, we find it terrible to go to war against our own brothers, who yesterday we fought together to secure our region."
Nigériennes, Nigériens, mes chers compatriotes, en tant que soldats, nous connaissons le prix d'une guerre. En tant que Nigériens et Ouest-Africains, nous trouverions tragique d'aller en guerre contre nos frères d'armes aux côtés desquels nous étions engagés hier pour sécuriser notre région.
This last line is very emotional and the sentiments is shared by many neighboring countries. That's why Mali and Burkina Faso are supporting Niger. That's why Chad said they will not get involved or support any military intervention in Niger. Many Nigerian soldiers participated in a task force against insurgents in the northeastern part of the country and all border communities of Niger, Chad, and even Cameroon. All these countries contributed troops to the joint task force. So they all fought together like brothers and sisters, like one huge family against a common enemy. Telling one of them to fight against each other is awful and might lead to some soldiers resigning from the army. This is not a sport like wrestling or kickboxing, where athletes fight each other for a prize. This is real life. No one wants to fight his friend or brother for no just cause. So it's going to be difficult. This is coming at a time many soldiers are resigning from service. It is estimated that about 1,000 soldiers have resigned from service the past year alone. To stop the spate of resignations, the Nigerian army said they will no longer accept loss of interest and low morale as reasons for disengagement by soldiers. If soldiers give such reasons to leave the army, it shows there's a problem. People who make this kind of sacrifice to defend their country should be well remunerated. Many have cited corruption in the army as the major reason for their resignation, that the money doesn't trickle down to the guys on the front line. This is true no matter how they want to hide it. That's the reason for the recent increment in their ration allowance from 1,000 naira to 1,000